What's up, guys? Dehvin Simms here, back with another classic live stream. As a community, we help men level up and become high value in the modern world today. Do make sure to hit that like and subscribe button so you don't miss out. Also, guys, the Velorux website will be up this weekend. We will be accepting pre-orders when it goes live, so stay tuned for that. Also, guys, make sure to also follow the new Facebook travel group as we all get together and share our experiences with the world. The link will be in the description below. So without further ado, let's get into the live stream. We got a special guest here. He's here to talk about traveling to Japan and what to expect when you actually get there. But before that, can you introduce yourself, Tony?
Yes, brothers. So, hi, brothers. I'm Tony Berry. Um, I've been doing quite a bit of streams, and I'm just honored that Devin has me up here doing the stream with him. Um, I'm up here, guys, because I'm considered a high value male. The market calls me a high value male. You don't call yourself a high value male. You're considered a high value male based on the market, based on your actions. Part of being a high value male, which is what I'm doing today, is sharing information with brothers, getting involved in the network and helping other brothers improve their lives in the situation that they're in. So that's why I'm here. I'm married, happily married, been married 14 and a half years to a woman from Japan. I have two beautiful children. I just had a daughter born 3 months ago. In fact, her newborn status is up this weekend, so she's kind of like she's gonna be mad about that. Now she's gonna be expected to do a lot more things 3 months on. So I'm a full stack developer at a local credit union here in Washington State. I've been in the IT world for 11 years now, going on 12 years. Um, it was hard getting into it, but now that I'm into it, now I'm calling the shots, and I'll continue to call the shots, and that's what you have to do. It's going to take some time, then pretty soon you'll be calling the shots. So, in a nutshell, that's me, guys. Tokyo 64, you can call
Mm, fantastic, man. So, Tony, what made you come to Japan?
Well, and guys, so I'm living in Washington State right now, but ever since I was a little boy, man, I used to watch Ultraman, and it was a beautiful show, man. I love the whole setup, man. They had this cute Japanese girl in there. When you're a 6-year-old boy, man, I never seen a person look like that before. I grew up in Philadelphia on the streets, man, in the projects, and then I see this little beautiful little Japanese girl up there. I didn't know Japanese, back in the day, Japanese, Chinese, we thought everybody's the same, but it wasn't, man. So ever since then, I got the bug in me. My grandmother, a few years later, when I was around 10 years old, bought me a book called The Shogun. I must have read that book about 100 times already. I like the plot. I like what it's trying to say. It teaches you a lot about Japanese culture. But I think the big thing that really got me on the wagon here to go to Japan, it was an article that came out in Time magazine in 1983. I had just gotten out the service. I went into service for the first time in '79 in the Air Force. I got out. I wanted to test the waters. And here I am in '83. This article comes out on Japan, and that was my calling. That was a reminder to me that, hey, you need to get back to Japan. You need to go to Japan because you said that's what you wanted to do. I had been stationed in Korea at the time. I mean, not at that time, but before. But I was back in the U.S. of course, and I was living in Denver. So I like Denver because I went there for tech school in the Air Force. And so what I did was I wanted to go back in the service. So I remember I was so desperate that I even went to the Army and I almost joined. I passed the physical, I passed the test. I was that close to joining the Army. And because the Air Force said they didn't have any jobs for me at the time. And right before I was going to go down and join the Army, man, the Air Force called me up. My recruiter said, hey, I got your job for you. Come on down. Man, I told the Army guy, hey, give me my Social Security card, buddy. I'm done. I'm going to the Air Force, back in the Air Force. So I went back in the Air Force. I got stationed in Langley, Virginia. Ironically, a lot of my people come from Virginia. I didn't know at the time that a lot of my folks came from that Hampton Roads area. And so I put in an assignment, it's called a dream sheet. I put in an assignment to go to Japan. So I was at Langley for about a year and a half. I remember my commander calling me up a year after I'm there. And she said, you got orders, which means that you have an assignment coming up. I was like, I said, where I'm going? She said, you going to Japan? I said, yes. Well, I was going to Japan, but I wasn't going to the Japan I wanted to go to. I was going to Okinawa, and I didn't want to go to Okinawa, but I knew that I was going to be in Japan, so I said, okay, whatever, because they have a lot of military, a lot of bases there. It's almost like being in like a big Chinatown in the United States because it's still
Mm,
Americanized. But when I got there, I actually liked it. I was like, oh, I was impressed. I hung out off base a lot. I lived off base. I enjoyed my time there for 7 years. I got my degree. But when I left and got out of service there, I still felt like I didn't experience the Japan that I wanted to experience. So what I did was I went to grad school here in Washington State, at University of Washington. After 2 semesters, I dropped out because nobody was getting any money, no jobs. My friends were all graduating with no jobs. So I left, went to Japan, gave myself 2 weeks to find a job. I found a job in 3 days. And I lived there 4 years at that time. And that was the best thing I've ever done to get me associated with Japan. I was able to pick up Japanese fluent now. I could speak it fluently. I could read, write it, and it really helped me out a lot by doing
mm. Oh wow, that was definitely an interesting experience, man.
it. Oh, thank you.
Oh, so what time of the year is the best to travel to Japan?
Yes. So, okay. Japan is an island nation, and it has all the seasons are extreme. So in the wintertime, depending on where you are, because Japan is a long country, so it's the same size as say a California, right? So if you got from northern Hokkaido Island all the way down to the tip, like Okinawa, like Ishigaki Island, all down in Okinawa Prefecture, where down there it's subtropical, and you just work your way up the island chain. So, like if you're in like a Tokyo or like Osaka, that weather is more like a Washington D.C. in the wintertime. They won't get as much snow as the DC will get, but when it does snow, it's beautiful. Where my wife comes from, she comes from the snow capital of Japan, where skiing is good. It snows a lot in the wintertime, and to me, that's one of the most beautiful. I mean, the whole country is beautiful. So I would say, based on my experience of living there, the summers are brutally hot. I mean, you have rainy season in June, which I wouldn't go in June. So from June, the middle of June to the middle of July, it's raining almost every day. It's muggy. It's getting ready for the typhoon season to come in, and then after the rainy season, it's sunny and really hot and humid. So to me, the best time of the year to go to Japan would be either in the spring, like say late April, early May, or the fall, which means like middle of October to middle of November. The winter time is also nice because the snow is really beautiful in Japan. It's fresh. The food is really good all season. Every season, the food's good. So for me, if I had to choose a best season, I would say if you want to see the colors and the glow, or you want to see the cherry blossoms, I say that the fall. I mean, I'm sorry, the spring. So that April. So anytime from like late March actually, because that's when the cherry blossoms come in, till May is the best time to go to Japan.
Mm. What would you say is the best tourist spot in Japan?
Yes. So Japan. The thing about Japan, man, is okay. So they have 47 prefectures now, and that's like a state in the United States. So we have 50 states. They have 47 prefectures. I've been to 19 prefectures. So I've been a lot of places in Japan. I've lived in 3 prefectures. So as far as tourist spot, each prefecture has their own specialty. Right now, pound for pound, if I was to say that one of the best places to go is a place called Kyoto, because Kyoto has so many beautiful temples and shrines and parks, and it's like, keep in mind now, Japan had over 60 cities were bombed during World War II, but fortunately, Kyoto was not one of them. So a lot of things in Kyoto are old, like you see like 1,000-year-old temples. My wife's hometown in Niigata, the city, fortunately for her, wasn't bombed. She wasn't living at the time, but it wasn't bombed. So those cities that haven't been bombed, I think they're some of the better places to go because they still maintain that Japanese. Kanazawa is another great tourist spot that just opened up a few years ago because now the Shinkansen that you can take from Tokyo, the bullet train actually, from Tokyo to Kanazawa is open now. So they're experiencing a large influx of tourists. When the COVID goes over, they're going to have tourists back again. In fact, my sister-in-law lives in Kanazawa. But you have beautiful areas all over. Kamakura's nice, which is like south of Yokohama. Tokyo has, of course, all a lot of high spots. Nikko, I've been to Nikko, where it's just like north of Tokyo, like maybe 3 or 4 hours north of Tokyo, and you can go up in the mountains.
Mm.
Beautiful temples up there. I've been to Kyushu, Nagasaki. Nagasaki's beautiful. They have this place called they call it 99 Islands, and you could take like a ferry boat from Sasebo and go all through these islands, and it's just beautiful, man. Just seeing all of that, it's so many beautiful areas. You can go to see the castles in Japan. Um, in Kobe, like I said, is near Kyoto. Osaka, Wakayama has the caves of Japan. Niigata has these beautiful temples and shrines everywhere, and they have what they call this place called Takata Park, which people don't talk about much, but it is one of the best places in the nation and in the world to see cherry blossoms at night. Because what they do is they light up the park at night. They got the castle there. It's nice and green lighting. They got these beautiful cherry blossoms, and I can't wait. I've never been there at that time, but actually, we have a house that my wife and I are getting rebuilt over there. That's in that same city, so it's actually about 15 minutes from that castle. That's going to be like our second home, so we're looking forward to that. But I can't stress enough. There's just so many beautiful tourist places all over.
Mm. Man, that's a lot there, man. Oh my goodness.
It's more beautiful than you can ever imagine, brother. It's just a lot of people talk about the Kyoto, they talk about the Tokyo, but there's so many beautiful. And then there's also these hot springs. They call them onsen. They have them all over Japan. And I remember I was at one that my father-in-law had took me to with the family. It was so me, him, my wife, her sister, and her mom. This is before my son was born, back in 2010. And I remember, man, going to this place. Food is good, the service is good. You walk around with the yukata. So you get there, you go to the what they call a ofuro, and it's a bathhouse. All the men are sitting around on their side, and the other side they have a women's section. You sit there, you're in the front of a mirror. You can shave if you want. You got your all your shampoo items. So you soak yourself down. You pick up this little bucket you're sitting on. You wash yourself off or shower yourself off, and then you can get into the hot tub. Like it's basically like they have so many different kinds. You can sit by the river or in a river, like a small side of the river, or a lake, or I mean a pond, or just like a rounded tub, a cold tub if you want. You can go into a sauna and salt your body down if you want. But it's just so relaxing. And I remember being there, and I was in my birthday suit, sitting out on the side of the hot water, and it was snowing outside in the snow. I'm butt naked, and I'm sitting out in the snow because I'm so hot from the warm spring. And it's not uncomfortably hot. It's just you get in and you feel so beautiful. It's just so clean. That's what I love about Japan. That's the most thing I like is the warm springs. It's so beautiful, and the
Mm.
scenery is beautiful. The river was nice. Everything is nice.
Oh wow. I actually heard that the onsens, they say you can't actually have any tattoos, if I'm correct. That
Yeah,
as
yeah,
well
yeah.
as the gems.
Yes, you don't need to have. You don't want to have any tattoos. I mean, you could probably get yourself in, but they discourage having tattoos because of the yakuza. Yakuza, they have tattoos all on their bodies, so they cause a lot of problems
Mm.
in the past at onsen. So that's why they say we don't want tattoos. But if you're a Westerner and you have a few tattoos, you can still get in. They'll let you
Okay. Yeah, I actually don't have any tattoos at all.
in. Neither do I, man. I don't like. I'm not a tattoo guy myself.
Yeah, I just never been myself as well. But how's the restaurants there, man? I know this question myself as well, but for the audience out there, man, what do you got to say, Tony?
Okay, so I mean, they got good restaurants all over the country from tip to top. And just being in Tokyo, I just want to mention this. Tokyo has won restaurants have won a lot of Michelin awards, which is like the number one restaurant in this class award. They have better French restaurants in Tokyo than they do in Paris, in France.
Oh, wow.
Japanese are very spoiled in a good way. They have a high quality of life. They're not a rich nation. They're a working class, middle class nation, mostly middle class, but they have access to some of the best things in life. And those restaurants, I mean, you could eat anywhere and it's going to be good. And I'll give you an example. I don't eat at fast food restaurants in the United States, haven't been in years. But when I'm in Japan, I'll stop by a McDonald's or a Kentucky Fried Chicken once in a while and know that I'm not going to die from eating the food. They care so. And here's the thing: my first experience with that, I lived in Osaka 3 years. I was teaching English in Osaka, and I was in the main part of Osaka, and it's
Yeah.
called Dotonbori in Minami section. And I remember walking down the street in Dotonbori, and there was these two stands that were selling takoyaki, which is basically little balls with octopus inside, which is really good, and they're very hot, and they have like flavored soy sauce. Ain't like the soy sauce you eating at the restaurant, Chinese restaurant in the U.S. stuff. It blows it away. This is the good stuff. So it's a little thicker. It's really nice. So I was there, and I had to stand in line, and one line was full of people. The other line was empty. There was nobody in that line to buy that guy's takoyaki. Japanese are spoiled. If they know, they are only going to get and eat at a good place. They're not going to eat at anything that's bad. You can get anything under the sun in Japan. Good steak, good pork, good chicken, Japanese food, any cuisine you want to get, you can get it in Japan, and it's going to be good. So food is
Mm.
no problem in Japan.
So, what would you say is the average price range in
Yes.
Tokyo for restaurants?
Yes. So I've been to all kinds of restaurants from inexpensive to expensive, and I would say the average, if I spin my head around, the average price would be about 6,000 yen, which is about today's dollars about 55. I'm sorry, $55 for a meal. And but you can eat a lot cheaper than that. I mean, they do have places where you can eat as cheap as $5 a meal. So here's the thing: when I first got there, like I said, that time when I went there and gave myself 2 weeks to find a job, I went to the most that was supposedly the most expensive city in the world. And here I am in the subway station, and it's cold out. That was the wintertime when I went. And I'm sitting there and I'm slopping up these udon, this Japanese noodles with all these other men, and I only spent $5 and I'm filling my belly up. And it was good. You walk
Mm.
in, you go to the front desk, you pay your money, and then you see them put the noodles in the bowl and they put the hot soup in the bowl and the noodles. Thank you, and you go eat. You slop it up. Nobody's bothering you, man. Nobody's judging you. Nobody's disturbing you. That's another thing I love about Japan, man. In the restaurants when you go out to places, nobody bothers you, and they don't judge, and you can be yourself, and
Mm.
you never have to worry about people looking down on you. It's just that, hey, you're just another person in a restaurant eating food.
Wow, it seems like so far, man, Japan is actually a place where you actually feel appreciated compared to the West, where people are actually always looking down on you based on what you do. That's really
Yes, Devin.
interesting.
Yes, it is, Devin.
Mm.
It is that type of place. And you'll see these people putting up all these articles. Oh, well, they're racist. No, no. Japan is.
Mm.
I lived in Japan 11 years. I've been back and forth. I've never had any experience like that in my life in Japan. In fact, when
Mm,
I'm in Japan, I feel more comfortable than I feel when I'm in the United States.
I believe it.
Yeah,
Man.
yeah. I mean, I go there, man, and like I like this place called Mr. Donut, and it's like really nice. What I like also, wanted to mention about Japanese food is it's not as sweet as it is in the United States. It's just right. American like cakes and cookies and all this other stuff. Like me, I eat these little oatmeal cookies which aren't that sweet. But
Oh,
America,
yeah,
you
I've
got to
heard you
mix
talking
that
about
stuff. But Japan is perfect. It's always perfect. So, like, for example, when my wife makes cakes at home, and she makes most of her cakes. She doesn't use this the average American woman to go and they'll get this Duncan Hines stuff in the little plastic bin that's sweet as hell, and then they'll take it and they'll use that for icing. My wife doesn't do that. What she does is she makes whipped cream home. She'll buy whipped cream and then I'll shake it up, or she'll shake it up, and then or mix it up till it's frost, it's light, and then she'll spread that on the cake and flavor it
Oh,
like
yeah.
she does. That's the best way to do it. That's how they do it in Japan. They don't use that sugary cream stuff. They use
Mm.
whipped cream, and then they can flavor it like they want.
Yeah, that's actually really smart too, because it's actually low calorie compared to other option that we have here in the West.
Yes, low calorie, and like I said, you can eat and you can eat good, man. Trust me, the food over there is beautiful. Yes.
Mm. So how's the fashion sense there for men and women?
The fashion, like I'm wearing a polo shirt, orange shirt. I got on black kind of jeans. Um, I can go to Japan like this all day long, or I can like wear some nice slacks with some nice boots, and have my little kangaroo hat. Like I like to wear kangaroo hats all the time. I call them cool cats, like back in Philly. Um, the fashion, they recognize fashion. Like when I was over there one time, I remember. I mean, I got a lot of good compliments from Japanese because when I used to work there, I used to wear suits all the time, of course, and the way I dress was like a brother, and they loved it, man. But the Japanese guys were dressing nice too. They care about their fashion, they really do. The women dress nice too. Now you'll see the younger kids getting creative with their dress. They might change the color of their hair. They might wear these lollipop clothes, whatever. They go through that phase, but then when they start to get into the working world, that's when they get fashionable. The women that work in the offices every day, they don't want to be outdone by another female. They want to make sure that they're the best dressed out there. And these girls know how to dress. They know how to wear their clothes. And the guys do too. So when you go to Japan, you want to be styling. You want to be styling. I remember one time I was there. I got this leather hat that I used to wear. I still wear it once in a while. Like Michael Jordan used to wear the same thing, but I wear mine backwards like he does. And I had a leather jacket on, and I had some nice slack, nice shoes, of course, nice shirt. And I remember this Japanese guy. He walked by me, and I heard him say to his friend, "Kakui, no Kakui." He's look at that brother. He's cool, man. That guy is so cool. They'll say that, man, to their friends when you walk by. They'll say that about you. So what I can say about Japanese, man, is Japanese to me, they have really good eyes. They can spot something nice and they appreciate something nice and they will compliment because in Asia and in Japan in particular, they don't compliment you much. They don't say nice things about you much because they don't compliment each other. But when they do, they mean it. You know how Americans be like, "Ooh, I like your boots, I like your pants." They halfway don't even mean what they're saying.
Yeah.
In Japan, they when they say something, they mean it. They mean
Mm.
it a lot. Yeah.
Oh man. That make me want to just come out get out the West, man. I gotta get out of here.
Yeah, you brother, you would
Man.
love it, man. You a black man too? Oh,
Yeah.
you would love it over in Japan, brother. They treat us good. They treat us good, man. And it's like my wife, she's not a big name brand person. So, they have fashion for everybody. So, you're over there, you can go to like the local stores and you can get some really nice looking well-made clothes and look nice.
Mhm.
So you don't have to buy all this Louis Vuitton, all this expensive stuff. You can buy some really reasonably priced stuff and look good too.
Mm. Yeah, it definitely makes sense. Yeah, cause I've always, ever since I was a kid, I always liked Japan, man.
Yeah. You got to go,
So
brother. You got
yeah,
to go.
South Korea, Thailand, um, Vietnam, Ho Chi Minh City.
Mhm.
A lot of locations I actually wanted to travel to. So, but yeah, man, Japan is definitely one of them.
Yes.
Hopefully the borders open in time.
Yeah, you got to get over there, brother. You got to get over there because what you're going to notice when you get off the. I used to love this, and like I could fly to my wife's hometown, but I like to take the bullet train. I've ridden the bullet train 20 times. I count, and I know every time I've ridden it. I keep a log of when I took the bullet train, and when my son took it for the first time, and everything, and who I'm taking it with. I love that bullet train because okay, when you get to the airport, you can come in either two ways when you go to Tokyo. You can come into either Narita Airport, which is about an hour, almost 2 hours out of Tokyo. It's located in Chiba. So you can catch the Narita Express going into the city. You end up in Ueno Station, and then usually from Ueno Station, I'll take the Shinkansen from Ueno Station to Niigata. I'll take what they call the Joetsu Shinkansen because that goes that way. And trust me, when you're on the train, you ride by, man, you're looking at all the scenery coming in, you chilling, you hearing all this late announcements in Japanese. It's quiet, it's safe. Excuse me, ain't nobody gonna come up and bother you. Your bags are like way down on the other end of the car, the train, because you know people get in the train when they come into the doors, they just put their bags in a safe place. Ain't nobody going your bags. Ain't nobody bothering you. I could get up and leave my laptop on my chair where I was sitting to go to the bathroom. I come back. Nobody touched my keys. Nobody took my bag. Nothing. It's beautiful. And then I just grab
Mm.
my stuff. And when I forget something, I get this. Excuse me, sir. You forgot some. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. They'll tell you when you forget something. You get off that train, then you go to the station. You get on the Shinkansen, and then you can even order some food, or you can like buy like a food at the station. The train stations in Japan will blow your mind. They have everything, all kind of food you can eat on the train, or shop, or buy souvenirs, whatever. They have it all, clothing stores, because they have these big, huge concourses. So like when you go to like the big stations, you go like you walk in like it seems like miles underground, and you see all these stores, restaurants, nice places to eat, nice places to hang out, coffee shops. It's just amazing to be over there. It's amazing, bro. It's amazing.
Man,
Yeah.
are we going to finally move to this topic, man? I'm sure everybody want to know this one.
Yes.
Um, how are the women there in Japan?
Man, you have all kind of females, just like you have in the West, but in Japan, the women are feminine. They are feminine. They you get these articles out there, like I saw it on IP's channel. Some woman wrote it, oh, they're trying to be just like me in the West. No, they're not. They have issues with their men, just like any other country in the world. The men will be sexually harassing them in some cases, but sexual harassment is actually looked down, is frowned upon now in modern Japan. You can't just get away with it like you used to be able to get away with it. So the women are cognizant of that. They're fighting against that, but that don't mean they're trying to be like these females in the West just because they're fighting against sexual harassment. So I just want to put that out there. These women like to write these articles and like if it's only 3% feminist, they might say 25% of the women in Japan are feminist. No, they're not. That's just numbers that she herself threw out there because she wrote the article to try to beef it
Mm,
up. Just like I saw this article, they're saying um, 10% of the population in Japan is gay. No, it's not. If they're lucky, it's like anywhere else, 4%. The average population, 4% of any population will be gay. Those are just the law of averages. So I don't know where they came up with this 10 or even 15%. That's not right. That is not true. The women are feminine, and the thing I like is, went out with many of them from many different places in Japan. It depends on what kind of woman you like. So I'll give you an example. I lived in Osaka. Osaka's a big city. Yokohama's the second biggest city. Tokyo's the first biggest city, but it's the biggest city, but Osaka is the second largest metropolis because you have Osaka, Kyoto, Kobe, Nara, Wakayama, Nishinomiya, all these major cities around that corridor. So I can get the Kobe from Osaka Umeda Station on the Hankyu line in 35 minutes. I can get to Kyoto in 40 minutes. I can get to Nara from Uehomachi Station on the Kintetsu line in 35 minutes. I can get to Wakayama in less than an hour. So so there's a lot of people in that area. So the women that come from there, they have their own way of doing things, their own way that they got raised. Most of the time in those big cities, the females don't get to see their daddies as much because the daddy has to commute long commutes back and forth to home. But where my wife is from and other areas of Japan that don't have to worry about those long commutes, meaning you can drive your car to work. Those women there are raised differently because their daddies are home by 5 or 6 o'clock at night. They're able to spend time with their daughters and their family, and therefore the daughters will pick up certain traits and traditions from looking at that traditional family of mother and father being together. My wife experienced that, so that's why she makes a good wife. Because I'm not saying the ones in Tokyo don't, but I'm just saying that the women that come from those type of areas to me are better because they've seen their mother and father's relationship, especially if it's a good one, because they spend more time. Japan is all about spending time with the family. If they come from a family where the daddy's never home, they will more than likely will not be the best female to be with if you want to marry them. Hanging out is cool. They're gonna be feminine, but they're also gonna be looking for a masculine man and looking to reinvent themselves. A lot of women in Japan, they have low body counts. Some people be like, "Well, they got a high body count, man." There was a post up in IP where this brother wrote this book, the Yellow Cab book that everybody was talking about. Black passenger yellow cabs. Japanese women are called yellow cabs. That name came from in Hawaii because they had a reputation for going on vacation and sleeping around. And some people say, "Hey man, you can get you a yellow cab, Japanese woman, and ride them all you want." Well, that was in Hawaii, and that's the reputation they gave. That's an unfair assessment of them because they don't go there to look for that. They go there because they're not on vacation that long. They're only there for 3 or 4 days. I know because I used to date a lot of them when I was living in Hawaii. So I know that they're not there that long and they're not looking for that. A lot of times you'll meet them and you won't even get to sleep with them. You're just hanging out. So I just want to quell that notion. Also, a Japanese woman will have a boyfriend once in a while. Well, most of them don't have boyfriends, but the ones that do, they won't see their boyfriends that much as you think. It's not like in the West where you got a girl or she got a boyfriend, and every day they're hanging out, or they living together, or they sleeping all the time. In Japan, the girlfriend boyfriends mostly do not live together. She'll have her apartment in Osaka or wherever she wants to live. He'll have his apartment there. He's got work. He's busy at work. She's got work. She's busy at work. Then she got to meet her girlfriends to hang out that she hangs out with. And so oftentimes she might not see her boyfriend for maybe every 2 weeks or once a month. And that's usually on a Sunday. So, and they don't sleep with their boyfriends much. So if you meet a Japanese girl who said, "Oh yeah, I have a boyfriend," that doesn't mean she has a high body count because she doesn't. And that doesn't mean that she's engaging in sex with this guy all the time too, because she's not. So I just want to point that out.
Mm. So what
And
would you
one
say?
more thing. I'm sorry. Go
Oh,
ahead,
go
Deb.
ahead.
Sorry.
No, you're
No, I was going
fine.
to say
Go
one
ahead.
more thing about being with them because I know everybody wants to know what it's like to be with them. So a lot of guys will make mistakes when they first get into bed with a Japanese girl, they won't do any foreplay. With these women, we're brothers. We're pretty much hung pretty well, and you gotta engage in foreplay with these women because when they get engaged in sex with you, they're expecting to go all out. They're not the kind of females that like, oh no, I don't do that. Oh no, I don't do that either. That's not the Japanese female.
Too
They're
well.
gonna take in every aspect as much long as they can. The only thing that they will do that may make some people uncomfortable is they will use condoms because they are not like the women in the West. Oh, I hope I don't get pregnant. I'm not going to use no protection. I hope I don't.
Yeah.
No, these girls are taught from the time they're young that sperm plus egg equals you get pregnant. So, and they also know that you don't want to get pregnant before you get married. Only like less than 2% of the females in Japan will do that. Less than 2%. And the single mom rate is very low too. Because Japanese women, for the most part, a lot of them don't really want to deal with the children and the marriage thing if they don't have to. It depends on where they come from. I know the big cities they don't, but where my wife comes from, they do because they see that different atmosphere. But still, they're not going to get pregnant unless they're married. That's the way they are. Now some guys might get a woman pregnant, like in the island, like Okinawa. I know a lot of women would get pregnant before they got married, but within a few weeks they're married because they know for sure they're getting married. The family already said you get married. It's like a shotgun without a shotgun marriage, if that happens.
Hmm.
So yeah. So
Yeah, it
when you,
definitely makes sense.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I said that definitely makes sense.
It does because you have to have someone take care of that child. I mean, you have
Hmm.
to because the females. Another thing about the women in Japan, even if they work, they'll go to work. Okay, the way they do it is I know not too many women go to college, graduate from college, or men, but my wife graduated from college. That's considered a good thing in Japan. So she actually had a job already lined up. She was 21 years, 22 years old. She just graduated. The recruiters were on site, bam, grabbing them up. They because everybody wants the young ones. The Japanese companies they want the young meat because they can mold them the way that they want to mold them. So they was going to expect to take her out and then she was going to go work in her office. And then the way they do it is they work in that work, and then usually there's a senior guy. I've been there a couple years later or longer. He'll end up circling around the women, and then he'll gravitate toward the one that he wants, and he'll date her, and then more than likely he'll marry her. That's the tradition in Japan. My wife never got that far because she was already dating me, and she got her job. But I was like, babe, we get married. And she's like, okay, I'm coming to the States, and I went to get her and brought her back. See, because she knew number one priority was me. That's why she gave up that job and came back here. Those women will do that. Their number one priority is their man, no matter what. Their number one priority is to raise a family. That's what they do.
Compared to the West, man, that's
Yeah.
wow. That's the
Yep.
true tradition right there, man.
And here's the thing, Devin, too, on that. There's a few women, I would say 10% of the women out there will never have kids, maybe more the way the system's going now. But usually around 10% of the females just want a career. They really don't want any children. So they will end up, or they will stay single until they're in their mid 30s. Then they'll get married and then they want to have a baby real quick. Well, a lot what they're finding out now is that when you're almost 40, like they try to tell them that you can still have a baby around 40, but now they're going back that way. Said no, the younger the better.
Yep.
But you have some questionable means when you're pregnant at 40 years old.
Mm.
Yep.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense because women usually got the biological time clock on their body, so time is against them. So it makes
Yeah,
sense.
and the thing about good thing you mentioned the biological clock. Okay, in Japan, they have this thing called what they call a Christmas cake, and they all say that nobody wants you after Christmas. Christmas is on the 25th, 25 years old. No matter how modern they get, no matter how forward move thinking they are, that is still a rule in Japan. You don't want nobody over 25. So a lot of those girls that are over 25 are desperate. They especially if they want to get married, they're rushing to try to find a man to get married. Now, fortunately for my wife, when I met her, she was 21. I got engaged to her at 22. and then boom, on her 23rd birthday, we got married. And that's the way that most women like to end up at. And I knew that going in because I knew she was a good woman, and I wanted to make sure that she got that respect, that love and respect from me, to be able to marry her at that age. To a woman in Japan, that's bragging rights. They ask you, "Oh, when did you get married?" "Oh, I got married when I was 23." And then the back of the Japanese woman's head is like, "Ina means I envy this woman." Yeah,
Respect. Mm.
yeah. And then they see my wife with 2 kids. They're like, oh, it's so jealous. The jealousy's high in Japan. Yeah.
Mm. So, what would you say is the best places to actually meet these type of women?
I would
Feminine.
say feminine women, family
Yeah.
traditional women.
Yeah.
I would say, with my, Niigata, where my wife's from, Nagano, Niigata, Aomori is really good. Sendai, which is another big city up a little bit north of Tokyo, is good. Hokkaido, man, Sapporo areas, the girls are banging up there. That's nice.
Mm.
Kyushu, like Nagasaki, Fukuoka, those are nice places. Hiroshima's nice. Nara's nice. You got a lot of nice girls in the Kobe area. Um, Wakayama, anywhere where like a small traditional towns. Although my wife's town, where she's from, they have over 1 million people, but it's a big city, but they have that small town mentality. So that's what it is. But yeah, you want to meet them. I'm not saying the girls in Tokyo or Yokohama or anything are not bad, are not good, but I'm saying if you want somebody, because here's the thing: most of the women in those big cities are living in those by themselves, so they have nobody to really track their movements. But where my wife is from, she drove every day to work. She was working part time when she was in college, and at the end of the day, she came home. So mom and dad know where she go and where she been and when she get back. But if you living in the city by yourself in Tokyo, you don't know where they've been. They could be hanging out with Mr. Sam for all you know, and nobody would know. So that's why you go for those girls from those areas like
Mm. So, how's the gym culture there?
that.
I
As
heard that
far as
there. How's the gym cultures there?
So no, Japanese are into keeping themselves in shape. And so here's the thing: even before they got the gym culture is blowing up, but even because Japanese men traditionally they didn't lift weights, they were not necessarily into weightlifting, but they didn't start really coming into that until they start seeing how Americans do it. Now the men are starting to get more into weightlifting. There's still a lot of men over there that don't do it, but Japanese do things, and they have done for years. Other things that are healthy. They walk a lot. I mean, they walk all over the city. They're always walking. They're riding their bicycles. Japanese move around. Those girls, you see them walking, and they be strutting. And they got some nice legs too. So that's why you see them because they're always walking all over the place.
I heard that the gyms there are pretty expensive. Now, is that true or I'm
Yes,
not?
yes. The gyms are expensive because they like I said, they have a lot of amenities there that entice you to get there. You don't have to go to a gym in Japan. Like I said, you can just do Japanese things. Just just walk around. Trust me, walking around Tokyo and those big cities, any place you walk a lot and you just do your normal routine. Like me, I use a kettlebell, ball. I'm good to go. I ain't never had no problems with just using that. I used to go to the gym all the time, not in Japan, but I used to go base there. But I used to go to gyms all the time in the US, do my weights, do my laps in my pool. But now I don't need to do that. And so in Japan, I don't have to do that
Mm. So I gotta say this for the audience:
either.
Are Japanese women checking for brothers?
Yes, we are the number one commodity in Japan when it comes to men. Japanese women, like I said, they're very visual. And when they see a brother, they see a powerful force. Like I said, even if the men work out, they don't, nobody, no matter what they say, nobody in the world has a physique of a brother that's in shape. They can't match us. They're not strong as us. They're not fast as us. No matter what, they can't compete with brother. You can't compete with a black man in shape. I'm sorry. No matter what you do, you can't compete. Yeah, you might be special in martial arts and movement and whatnot, but you're not doing martial arts when you're walking down the street looking for women, right? You're not doing martial arts when you just walk into a restaurant. They see you and they look and they're like, oh my God, this guy's he's he can protect me. Because man is supposed to be the protector. And those women look at you like you're a protector. And they know that everywhere they go with you, nobody's going to touch you. Nobody's going to bother them when they're with you. They know that. So yeah, brothers are they're sought after highly in Japan.
Mm. So how's the marriage rate there compared to the Western world?
You mean as far as
Like
the
specifically the U.S.
they don't get divorced as much as the states. They say that divorce is growing in Japan, and let me explain what I mean by that. They're not getting as married as much as they need to get married because they're having some issues between the men and the women in Japan and the lifestyle and just the way they want to live. But the divorce rate in Japan is rising, but it's only rising because these older couples are getting divorced because the woman may have discovered something that the man didn't do, or she no longer needs him to support her family. So, and he was never around. So, like I said, in those bigger cities, divorce rates are going to be higher. But if I was to Google this right now, I'll give you an example, divorce rate in Niigata City or in Niigata, divorce rate, just to give you an idea what I'm talking about. So the divorce rate in Niigata, Japan, is they said right here, the divorce rate in Japan is considerably less than in the United States, but it's growing. About 1 in 3 Japanese marriages end in divorce. Now that's nationwide, but then that depends on where you live, where you're from. Most of the time, when the Japanese get divorced, it's because they didn't spend enough time with each other. That's what it is. It's all about. It's not about Americans will get divorced over BS.
Yeah.
A Japanese woman is not going to divorce her man raising kids over something as trivial as him going out and sleeping with another woman. She's not going to divorce him over sleeping with a woman 20 minutes. She's not going to do that. She may get mad. She may be upset if she finds out, but she's not going to divorce that man because of that. Because to her, that doesn't make no sense. Why is she going to give up all her income and everything just because he slept with somebody else? That doesn't make any sense to a Japanese. What they do is they work it out, they figure it out, and then normally the man matures and he doesn't do that. So that's how it works in Japan.
Mm. Yeah, it definitely makes sense because the whole court system in the U.S. it's all messy.
Yes, it
You
is.
basically
And
lose 50% of everything for someone basically getting emotional over something that you could have just solved. Really, it's
yeah,
crazy, man.
it is messed up in the States, but in Japan, I just seen the numbers. So it's 5.2% single parent home in Japan. That's very low compared to almost 10% in the United States. So when the Japanese gets divorced, first of all, there's none of this alimony, maintenance fees, all this other. It's none of that, right? I mean, we got brothers over here getting divorced, paying maintenance fees to his ex-wife. We know child support. We get that. That's your kids. You brought them in the world. You got to deal with it. But you got brothers out there paying maintenance fees, alimony, and all kind of crap. In Japan, they get divorced. They don't have to pay nothing. It depends on what the man wants to do and what they both agree to. Other than that, they don't usually do nothing. Now, the man may or may not give money to the wife. More likely, the wife doesn't want nothing from the man because the Japanese women feel like if you paying me, then that means that I'm still obligated to sleep with you when I don't want to, or I'm still obligated to see you when I don't want to see you. That's the way they think.
Mm. So, what kind of jobs do women usually have in Japan?
Yes. So what I can say about this, the best job for a Japanese woman is to open her own business. But most Japanese women will have service positions, like they're working as a receptionist, They're working. A lot of them work as clerks, filers. They're filing away papers. They mainly are working, keeping records, keeping documents in order. They do that a lot. So these office ladies, that's what their job is to file. They basically just filing documents, not on computers. They're checking, they're logging documents. They do that a lot. They also, like I said, you'll see them in the restaurants as waitresses. You'll see them in the coffee shops. You'll see them in the department stores. A lot of them work in department stores, dressed up nice. They work mostly in the service industry.
Mm,
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yes.
Mm. So, how's the online dating there? I'm always curious about that one.
Yeah, I've never been online. I don't do online dating. Um, I know some brothers said they were on Tinder over there and things like that. They met a few. I don't think online dating is that good in Japan. Japanese are a touchy feely kind of people. They want to, like I used to tell these brothers, the best way to meet them is you just get out there and not the clubs, but you can go like to regular restaurants. Like a lot of times when I was in Tokyo, man, and it's up to the man how the man do things. See, as a Westerner, you know what the secret is? We can get away with stuff. As a black man, you can get away with even more because nobody's going to stop you. So, like, I'll give you an example. I was in a restaurant one time with my friend, who was a white dude from England. We were, I was there looking for an English job, but I went there to eat, and this is in Harajuku, which is near Shibuya. And I walked in, man. I see these nice, fine women, three of them sitting there eating their food, and I saw a chair open, and I just got my food, and I sat there, right there. I said, "Oh, see my sin? Excuse me, of course. I'm gonna sit here. I'll be right back. Let me go get me some drink." I went and get my stuff. Now, if they don't want you sitting there because they're in a deep conversation, they may be like, "Oh no, no, okay." Then that's okay. Then you say, "Okay, I'm sorry. I'm gonna go somewhere else." But you gotta gauge the situation, right? If you walk in and you see him looking at you, you see him smiling, you sitting at that table and you're gonna have a conversation with him and you're gonna end up meeting him and hanging out with him. That's what you do. The Japanese man, the way that most Japanese people meet is through introductions or through working together. If they don't work with you or you ain't introduced to them, they don't talk to you. You don't come. There's no happenstance in Japan for Japanese men and women. They're either introduced through somebody. But for brothers, we can go anywhere we want, walk down, and we see somebody we like, yo, let's talk. And if they don't want to talk, they say, okay, I'm sorry. They're not going to be rude like these women in the West, rolling their eyes and trying to make you feel bad.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to be like, oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me. I'm busy. Whatever broken English they know. Busy. Sorry. Soon. Excuse me. And that's it. You're done. You just move on to the next one. Yeah.
Mm. So that basically carry on to this question here. So, do Japanese women speak English, or do you have to learn the language for the most part?
They go to school, and now I heard that from elementary school they're learning English. But Japanese understand English, but you have to speak slowly to them if you want to get the message across to them. So, for example, let's say I'm in Japan and I'm walking down. Most of them will speak some broken English, and I'm walking down the street, or I'm going to a restaurant or going to a coffee shop, and I see something on an order. What's beautiful about Japan, first of all, is they got everything on picture. So you can just say, I want that, or I want that. But if you want to get specific about something, then you can say, oh, excuse me, I want to go to the library. And then they may forget the word library or something. And then you can just say, book, I will read book. Then they might say, bookstore. You said the bookstore? No. Library, um, free book, book free. And they're like, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. You go left, you go right, and you see red store, and you go next to red store. That's how they'll talk. But if they get into you, they're gonna be learning. They're gonna be using English more. They won't speak it great, but they're gonna try their best to use it more, especially if they determine that you don't speak that much Japanese
Mm.
and they like it. They know you don't speak Japanese. They like you. They're gonna carry a little dictionary around with them. They're like, excuse me, and you see the dictionary, and then you start communicating that way. But trust me, they will find a way to communicate if they like.
So, have you had any experience with rich women in Japan?
Yes, 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 I have, brother. So, oh man, I gotta tell you a story about this one, man. So, I was in Tokyo. This is my first time in Tokyo, man. I was 94, and like I said, I was looking for an English job. I found one already, so I partied pretty much. I stayed at this place called the Kimi Ryokan. You know, in Japan, they have these little inns that Westerners can stay in for cheap. This place I stayed at was at the time like $40 a night, which was dirt cheap in the middle of Tokyo, right? So there's a lot of Westerners hanging out there. You get the Japanese experience, the music going, the hot tub, the whole setup, right? So I remember I went downtown to Roppongi, where a lot of Westerners hang out at the clubs with other Westerners, people from Canada, New Zealand, Australia, England, America. So we all got on the train and went to Roppongi. And I remember at the time I went there, and I had slept with this Canadian girl a few times, and she went down there with me. And I told her when I got there, I said, we're good, but I said I need a Japanese girl. I'm going to get the Japanese girl tonight. So, but we can talk later, because that's how you got to be as a man. And you're, like I said, you're a black man. You call the shots because all the women want you. So here I am in the club, walking around looking for a female to talk to, and then I met this Japanese girl. So she looked pretty nice, and you could tell that she had a little bit of money on her because the way she was dressed. And I figured out she was like in a late, like early 30s, like 31 or 32. And this other dude that who I didn't notice, other Westerner, was with her friend. So we were all dancing on the floor and whatnot. So I said, "It's loud. I want to go out and talk." She said, "Let's go out and talk." So I'm walking outside with this girl, and I keep getting this. Somebody's pinching me on my ass. I'm like, "What the hell is this?" I look around. It's this Australian chick pinching me on my ass, laughing. She's smiling. Every time I turn around, she's smiling. But I was with the Japanese girl. I could have easily just stopped, said, "Look, see you," and hooked up with the Australian. She was young, nice, young looking Australian. She's like 22, something like that. Beautiful looking. But the Japanese girl was better. So I walk outside with her, and I never forget the conversation. She said, we start talking. So how long you been? How long you gonna be here? I said, I'm gonna be in Tokyo for another 10 days, and then I'm gonna go back to Seattle and grab some stuff. And I gotta move to Nagoya. So I'm just gonna move to Nagoya, which is about almost a 2-hour train ride from Tokyo. So, and she said, "So what do you want to do while you're here?" I looked at that in her face. I said, "You know what? All I want is some Japanese pussy." And she said, "Okay." So we walked around the block, and and we started talking. And, but then I remember she had told me when we got back in, because her friend was dancing with the other guy, and I was dancing with her. And she said, "Well, first night we don't do nothing. We don't do anything. I'm gonna go home after this. I'm finished. After this, I go home." I said, "Okay, no problem." So first comes to shove, it's her friend leaves with this dude, because he was like, they were all over each other when they wasn't dancing. They were kissing on each other. And I thought, "Oh my God, man!" I said, "Y'all better get room." They left, and next you know, I'm with her in the taxi, and I paid for the taxi going back to my. Because she said, "Okay, I'll just ride back with you." I was like, and I was thinking, myself, as a brother, you're like, "Oh shit!" I thought you said, "Okay." You're not gonna say, "I thought you said you're not gonna go with me, right?" You're gonna be like, "Okay, let's go." So we go back to the room, and in the same damn spot that I did Canadian in the night before, and she's like, "All right, let's," we start kissing and whatnot. I said, "Damn," start getting on. She had a period, and it's still. And I remember her apologizing to me. She said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." We cleaning the sheets up. I was like, "Whoa, what's this? What's this?" And I didn't mind it, but I knew women go through those things. That's what when you're a 32-year-old male, you're a mature guy. I'm not 20, where I'm like, "Oh my God, what the hell are you doing?" No, I'm like, "Hey, okay, no problem. Let's clean up." So then we go to breakfast that morning, and she said she wanted to see me again, because I guess she felt shame. She wanted to kind of hook up. So we met later on that day after she got done with all her business. She actually she told me where she lived. So I met her at the station where she lived, which was like about 45 minutes from Tokyo Station. And then I went to her condo. And that's when I knew, I said, oh, shit, wait a minute, we got some money here. So went in her condo. She owned that place. She had a little dog. And, Japanese, they like little dogs. I'm not a little dog person. But she had these little diapers. They're so clean in Japan. They got the doggy diaper. So the doggy would just feed it crap on that little spot. And then they just come in and whoop, and throw it in the trash and put another spot down. And that's it, right? So here it is, and we're in the place, man. And then next you know, I started hanging out with her. And then she gave me the key to her condo. She said, okay, when you finish doing your thing, just come on back home to me. So for the last like 9 days, I had my place still up in Tokyo, but I hung out with her the last 9 days I was there. And then she told me that what she does. I said, what do you do? Because I said, you seem to have accumulated quite a bit of things here. She said, oh, I own my own dental clinic. She owned her own dental clinic. And she wasn't messing around because I remember that she took me out one night. I think it was the last night I was there. And I remember this brother. I can't believe this. I remember we were getting ready to go out. And I'm thinking, oh, okay, we're going to jump on the train and go because Tokyo is like 45 minutes from there. I'm on the train. She's like, she pulls all this cash out. She starts counting. You think this is enough money? She literally counted off like $3,000. And she said, is this enough? I'm sitting up here looking at her like, well, yeah, I guess so. And we ended up taking a taxi from her spot to Tokyo to this restaurant that was like a lounge. They had a band playing. And when you're in Japan, you go into a place where there's bands and we ordered dinner. She must have spent about $600 that night just on dinner, just on bullshit.
Mm.
And then we went back to the place, hit it up. It was nice. The next day, I said goodbye to her, and there was no questions asked, no nothing, no, are you going to see me again? None of that. I said, okay, see you, thank you. And that was it. 9 days of fun, and I was out. So yeah, that was a pretty rich girl. Yeah.
Wow, man.
Mhm.
Man.
Yeah. So they don't have no qualms. They have no qualms. Now, one thing I do notice, if you do get hooked up with a woman like that, because I heard of guys even when I was stationed there in Okinawa before I got to go to mainland, which is why I wanted to go to mainland so damn bad. Women would be paying for brothers, so they'd meet brothers at clubs, and then they'd take them to the hotel, and then right in the morning they give the brother money for sleeping with them. Because what they're saying is, don't stalk me, don't call me, I don't want to talk to you. If I want to talk to you, I'll call you when I want to call you. Yeah, they have the women like that.
Mm.
So brothers like, all right, what do I care? Say it. Because I remember one time I was in Misawa, Japan, which is northern Japan, which is beautiful. And I met this beautiful girl. She was like 5'8". Oh, she was gorgeous. And she was only 21 years old. So, but anyway, I just mentioned that because I was up there that time. And I remember looking at TV, the little time I had to look at TV. I think I was waiting for somebody. And they had this Japanese guy interviewing this Navy dude out of Yokosuka. And this girl was yelling at him, come on, hurry up, Japanese girl. Get up here, hurry. Yeah, they were going to go into a love motel. And they asked his brother, they said, well, excuse me, well, how many women have you been with since you've been in Japan? Because you've been here 2 weeks. He said, oh, man, I slept with 31. This getting ready to be number 32. Yep.
Mm.
He was that kind of the man. Because when you go to the bases, and I've experienced it, and I remember because I was up in Misawa, the women are you on a Friday and Saturday night. I don't know if they still do it. All the protocols changed since the 9/11 bullshit. But back in the good day, you see them lined up around the gate for blocks. And they're waiting for a guy to come up and sign them onto the base. So you could sign, I think at the time, up to 4 women on base. And so Yokosuka was worse because they'd be lined up and they'd fight to get to the yard on that club. Because normally what's going to happen is you sign those 4 girls in, by the end of the week, you done slept with all 4 of them. Or rare it happens, you sign them in, and your friend will hook up with two of them, or you got three other friends. You call them, yo man, get down to the club. I just signed these four girls and come talk to them. That's how crazy it gets around faces. Yeah.
Mm. So, do these women change to Western customs when you bring them over to the United States?
No, no, for the most part, no, they don't. I know my wife has been here. We got married in 2007, and she has not changed one bit. In fact, she watches. She's got. I pay. I think it's like $100 and something dollars a year. We pay annually to watch, so she can have all these Japanese channels on her phone, and then she just zips them, airdrops them onto the TV, and we can watch all the programs. So she watches Japanese programs and news every single day. She doesn't miss anything on her country and her culture. I watch a lot of it too. So she's heavily into her thing. Now of course, she's cognizant of what's going on in the U.S. because before the COVID, we go all over the place. I mean, almost every other weekend, I'm taking my family out sightseeing, eating at a nice place or whatever. So she loves it, but she's not going to give up her culture. In fact, where we live, she really only has one good friend. And that's this girl from Germany, Faded's wife. I don't know if you see Faded up on the IP's channel. This brother from Jamaica. His wife is from Germany. And her and my wife, they hit it off because they both been somewhere. They both have the same kind of mentality that they're not giving up their culture and they're not going to be like these women. So most of the Japanese girls that I've met through my wife's friends and whatnot, they Japanese through and through. They're not getting westernized from nobody. Now the
Mm.
ones that do, and this is the problem, the ones that do, they've been married to a Westerner, they've been through a bad marriage, they got divorced, they end up marrying another Westerner. Those are the ones that you want to stay as far away from. You don't want a divorced Japanese woman. You don't want a divorced woman, period, because they've already been soiled. They've already got. It's like a person who never killed anybody. Once they kill their first person, they can kill another person. They got that out of their system. It's the same thing with the divorced women. Men are different because we can carry the load, but a female can't carry that load. That taste is in her mouth. You don't want that kind of female.
Mm. So, how's the religion there in Japan?
They're not religious. They're not religious. People keep saying, "Oh, they're this Christian, that." No, they're not religious. The Japanese people who are Christian, they write these Christian articles. They want to say that people are Christian or Islam or whatever they want to do. Japanese are suspicious for the most part of religions because after World War II, they had all these religious cults pop up because they knew people were looking for saviors. They had this one big one called the Soka Gakkai. They were initiated in Buddhism. I myself am initiated in Buddhist, but I'm not Soka Gakkai. Soka Gakkai is the lay organization of that. I became a Buddhist because that's what I like to do. So because I believe in the law of cause and effect. My wife is not religious at all. She's more than most of the Japanese are Shintoists, which means they believe in the state. They may chant for this good luck. Like every beginning of the year, they go to the temples and they chant for good luck, or to the shrines. Good luck for my health. Good luck for my family's health. For my wealth. That's what they believe in. They believe in the gods, if you will. There's many gods to the Japanese, so they're not religious like the West would like everybody else to believe. They could care less. Now, because here's the thing, they will go to Japanese will do all this. They'll go to a Shinto shrine, they'll have a Christian wedding, and they'll have a Buddhist funeral. It's all water off their back, doesn't mean anything. That's just what they do.
Mm.
Yep.
Oh, wow. That's some good intel right here, man. So, what would you say? Is there any negative traits that the women have in Japan?
Yes, yes, because everything is not all good. So the one thing that I would say through my experiences is that, first of all, being a black man, a lot of times when you first meet them, you do not want to talk to them about what it is about being black because they are so busy trying to get to know you as an individual. They don't care about the problems. They're not going to, like, if you just started dating one in 20, they see the George Floyd, but they're not going to sit up there and talk about George Floyd and black issues all day long because they're not trying to get into that. They're trying to get into you. So oftentimes in Japan, I'll just use that as an example. I say the negative trait to me is that you can't get in a deep enough conversation with them all the time. You have to time it perfect. Japanese are not that deep in conversation. They're very simple. So, for example, if you're out and you're having a great time, you're at onsen, you're eating well, you're sleeping good, you're relaxing. That's not a place for you to start talking about anything negative. They don't want to hear it. To a Japanese, if it's out of sight, out of mind, is the big thing there. And Japanese don't get they don't live, they don't have a like America has a guilt conscience. Japanese don't have a guilt conscience. They have a shame conscience. So they will do something as long as they don't get caught, they're good. But when they get caught, that's when they feel bad. Americans won't do it because they're like, oh man, I might feel guilty. In Japan, they're like, I'll do it as long as I don't get caught. I'll be okay. So they're into the shame. They care more about shame than guilt. They don't feel guilt because to them, if they're not thinking about what they did wrong, it's off. It's out of their mind. They don't care about it. So that to me, that's a negative trait because it's very low. But some of these women will cheat on you. I don't say they're going to cheat on Westerners much, but they cheat on their husbands because their husbands don't spend enough time with them. It is apparent.
Mm.
They come home at midnight, they're dead tired, they jump in the bath, they grab a bite, they're up at 4 o'clock in the morning, back on the train going to work. So the women could never really see them for weeks. So they get lonely, just like any other female would get. That's why I'm saying you got to get those women that are outside the cities where their husbands come home on a regular. Then those daughters are going to be better daughters than those women in the cities that where the husband's never home. So, so number one, yeah. So the biggest thing to me is the conversation. You have to work on conversation with because you may want to get into something really deep, like a friend or a compatriot, but they oftentimes will not be ready for that because they're not used to that. They're used to the man really not saying much. So it took me and my wife quite a few years for me to start really getting her more involved in my conversations. And that was always a challenge for me.
Mm.
Another thing that I would say is a negative trait is Japan is a pessimistic society on the one end too. So they believe in I can't do it, I can't. I won't be able to do that. I don't think I can do that. And because they work in groups, they're a group society. So you got to pump them up a lot. You got to you got to really work on getting them to believe that they can do things. Because their self-esteem is, for the most part, pretty low because they don't bring each other up much. In the group setting, they were like, "Oh, you go, girl, you go, not you go, girl, but you go, Judy, go, Judy, go this." But individually, if they're living with their parents or their husband or something, or wife, they don't talk each other up at all. So that's where they have a self-esteem issue.
Mm. So, for the people out there in the world who's actually trying to travel to Japan, how much money would you think would be enough for a regular tourist visa? About 3 months.
Um, okay, so I know Theo had touched base on this, and I agree with him on that. There's places you can stay in Japan, like youth hostels, like the inn I was telling you about, those kind of places where you don't have to spend as much money. Japan is the beautiful thing about Japan is when without this COVID crap, it's for everybody. Anybody in Japan can afford anything. They have budgets for everybody. That's what I like about Japan. They have budgets for everybody. And nobody is going to look down on you if you just stand in a smaller place. Japanese don't do that. They don't look down on you for you. Oh, what's your mom do? Oh, my mom or my dad is a janitor. Oh, okay. They're not going to be like, oh, your dad's just a janitor. That's not how they do it in Japan. They do not disrespect people. They don't judge people. They just don't judge others. So, but for you to answer your question, if you're going to stay in Japan for 3 months, number one, it depends on where you're going to stay. If you're going to stay in Tokyo for 3 months, that I would easily look at having around $10,000 for those 3 months in Tokyo. You could probably get less than that. But if you're going to stay there on a 90-day visa, because that's the most you can stay there is 90 days. Because Americans don't need visa. We just go. As soon as you get to the airport, they stamp it, bam. 90 days later, you got to have your butt out the country. So I would
Okay.
say a good 10,000 is a good start. 90 days.
Okay.
And that's with access to cash. So meaning you have a city card ATM that just in case you need to get some funds from your home country, you can pull them out. You're not going to take 10,000 in cash with you. You're going to take enough where you can pay things out, and then you'll be able to draw from that because most ATMs will only let you take out no more than $500 a day.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Mm.
And you can get by with spending less than $2,000 a day, easy. Once you get your accommodations, you can eat 3 meals a day on less than 2,000. You just have to know where to go if you're on the budget. Now, somebody like me, if I'm gonna stay in Japan 90 days, I'm not even thinking about funds because I know how I would be there. I'd probably either be with my wife's parents' house where I'm not really paying anything, or if I'm and just traveling here and there, like a little bit here, spend a hotel, a little bit there, stay hotel, or when our place gets built, then I'll just be staying there the whole time. So either way, I'm set, but the average person will need about $10,000.
Okay. That's basically just the total amount for those 3 months.
Yes, and you got to be wise. You're gonna be wise. You're gonna run into some things, but I say 10 G's is a good amount.
Okay, that definitely makes sense. Especially if you want to live comfortably in Japan, live the best way you can.
Yes,
Um,
yes. Mhm.
okay.
So, yeah, because I stayed at some expensive hotels when I go to Japan. Like in Tokyo, I stayed at the Park Hyatt. In Shiga, I've stayed in Kyoto, I've stayed in Osaka, I've stayed in some nice hotels, Hotel Nico, those kind of places. So, because I stay in nice hotels everywhere I go because I love to get treated. I like to be pampered. That's why I do it. But when I was younger, I didn't care too much. I just like as long as I got a bed, I'm good.
Mm. Man, oh man, this is crazy info right now, man. I'm sure the audience would love to have you back on, man.
Thanks, brother. Thanks, brother. Appreciate it.
Um, so before we end the live stream, is there any last words you have for the viewers
Yeah,
about
so I was
Japan?
going to ask you. Yeah, so in your case, and I know we're not interviewing you, but what's your situation? So are you single? You married? You looking to go to Japan? What kind of thing are you trying to get out? What got
Um,
you on that?
well, I've always wanted to actually go to Japan, but right now I'm actually single. I'm not in a relationship right now.
Mhm,
Um, I'm planning to save up and actually travel to Japan, but I'm just waiting for those borders to open up.
mhm,
Um, I was actually talking to Theo the other day about the getting the business visa over there.
mhm.
So I was doing a little bit of research regarding that as well. So it's definitely interesting.
Okay, have you seen that video series Black Experience Japan?
Um, well, what's that guy?
That's
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it.
Roman. Yeah, I put up an article in IP's channel about this brother, or maybe I put it in my channel.
What's his name? Rondo, something like that.
Yeah, his name is Rondo. Yes,
Okay.
Ron. He interviewed this brother that actually opened a business in Japan. That's some good intel. You should see that YouTube video.
Yes.
He bought a place near where we got our house in this other part of Japan. He bought a place for $60,000. That was it, and he opened up a ski lodge. Mhm.
Mm,
Yeah, so you can get a business visa in Japan. You can get over there and you can live there. You can do all kind of
okay, man. And there you have it, man.
things. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, thank you.
Man, oh man, this is just crazy info, man.
Brothers gotta go, man. You gotta go to Japan, man. You gotta get that intel, man. I mean, you gotta get on board. You just gotta go, man. It's just a beautiful experience, man. You don't have to worry about nothing. Nobody's gonna bother, but no, you can walk down the street in the middle of Tokyo at 2 o'clock in the morning. Ain't nobody gonna bother you at all. The cops won't even bother you. And one experience I had with police. So I'm walking. I just got to Tokyo, and I'm walking down the street, and I left my passport back at my hotel, my inn. And these policemen, they pull up beside me. I guess they had some spate of Africans running around. The Africans are good people, but I guess they have some issues with Africans getting there and overstaying their visas. So they were looking around. They saw me walking down the street, and they pulled up, and they asked me, "Oh," I said, "Oh, yes, yes, officer, what's going on?" in Japanese. And they asked me where I was from. I said, "I'm from the United States." And they said, "Do you have your passport?" And I was like, "Ooh, because you're supposed to carry your passport everywhere you go until you get a card." I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I left my passport at my hotel." I was like, "Oh, polite, see my sin, you know." And they were like, "Okay, well, next time, just make sure you bring your passport out. We just checking around for everybody, make sure people okay, and you have a good night, okay, sir?" They said to me, and I said to them in Japanese, "What's got some of this?" And I was like, meaning like, "Thank you for doing a great job," because everybody says that to Japanese people, and they kind of like went on their way, man. I didn't get my head slammed on the hood, handcuffed, and kicked in the butt. You know, it was just like, okay, because police in Japan are not like the police here. They're actually there to serve you. They're treating you like you own them. So a lot of times they won't do a lot of things that you expect them to do because they don't want to get in the way. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. It's like a lot of countries you go to. Cops are just regular people. Like, yo, what's going on? All right, excuse me, man. What are you doing? That kind of. Yeah.
So how's the nightlife there in Japan? Probably
Uh,
most likely Tokyo,
Nightlife is everywhere in that.
Osaka.
It is, man. Oh man, Osaka's got this place called American Village, and I remember I used to go there. And they had clubs everywhere, man. Like been packed, packed. Roppongi. I mean, you got all kind of nightlife in Tokyo. Every ward, every section got some good nightlife. Everywhere. I mean, you ain't gonna have no trouble finding no nightlife. It's all over.
Man,
It's
because I'm gonna be honest with y'all, man. You guys, whenever I go to a club, man, I just bring like a bottle of water up in there, man.
you bring a what?
A bottle of water up in there.
Oh yeah. No, me too, man. I don't. When I go to clubs, I don't drink nothing. I don't drink no alcohol. No. In
Cause I've
fact,
always,
mhm,
cause I've always been like a clean guy, man. Like just water. I don't like sodas.
mhm. Yeah, soda.
I
Me
really,
neither. I don't do sodas.
yeah, I don't do
Soda.
the sugar really.
No,
So
me neither.
but that's just me. I'm sure everybody else is different. But yeah, man, it's throwing out. But yeah, man, that definitely sounds interesting, man. I heard Osaka had a really good nightlife as well. Um,
Yes, they do, brother. Yes, they do.
mm.
I can attest to that. I lived there 3 years. I know all about Osaka. Yeah.
So would you say the nightlife is more livelier than the daytime?
Yes, yes, of course. Yes, nightlife is lively in the daytime because the women at the clubs are very curious. That don't mean that they're clubbers, and they don't mean that they sleep with a lot of guys either. They just go there. Most of these women leave the club by themselves with their girlfriends. That's about it. You know, it's very rare that they'll walk into a Westerner and get picked. They lucky if they even get talked to them. They're like, "Oh my God, he said something to me." You hear him talking. "Oh my God, he's looking at me." See, that's the way women should be everywhere. Be
Yeah,
enthusiastic. In the States, you look at a female like, what you looking at? I'll be like, all right, we'll see you.
mm.
Goodbye. And never look their way ever again. Walk by and don't even say nothing to them, don't even give them the time of day. Yeah.
Yeah. Those type of girls just walk away, man.
And nothing
Don't
to say
even
to them.
deal with them.
They're worth nothing to me. They have no worth. They're worth it. And I'm teaching my son that. I'm like, when you meet
Hmm.
a female, like in Japan, when you meet a female, they like you, they're enthusiastic, like I said the other night. They're on your page. They're hanging on every word you say that come out of your mouth.
Yeah, because that's what most guys actually look for. They look for that burning desire. Because I know the girls over here in the West, they're usually combative, just masculine. That's just a headache in itself, man. Boss B don't need no man. Cardi B,
That's why they're
Lord,
gonna
it's a
die
clown
real
word
quick.
over here, man.
That's why they
That's
die
crazy.
alone with a dog. They're gonna die alone with a dog.
Yeah, it's just an unfortunate reality, man. You just have to accept, unless you're able to change your ways to be the best female you can be.
And it's kind of sad because it used to be when I was growing up, the best women in the states were Southern black women. Because you can go get a woman from like anywhere down south, South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia, Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, and they were good women. They respected a man. They was on your purpose. But I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened in the last like 40 years. I don't know what happened. It's done. It is
Yeah,
just done.
ever since feminism kicked in.
Ugh,
Mm,
it's ugly, man. And that's what I told my man last night or the other night. Jay, I was telling him like a lot of times what happened is the white man did not let us join in the fold, the black men. So therefore, they themselves are now eroding their mission because they didn't include us. If they'd included us, then it would have been the men. They would have had more men protecting foundations that men built. Now, I'm not saying that we shouldn't be equal with women. I'm not saying that. But all I'm saying is that when you join into a relationship and you come into a marriage, there are certain things that you should be willing to give up as a female. Because if you don't, then that means you're not treating me no different than any other man out there in the street.
yes, that is true. Because especially in a relationship, man, men are just naturally born leaders, and women are usually the supporters on this mission. And
Yep.
that's how usually relationships really work and last a very long time.
Look at our
A lot of
grandparents.
yeah, good examples.
Yep. But these women today, they can't hold a candle to my second great grandmother, who's the last slave person, her and my second great granddaddy, last slave people in my family. They can't hold a candle to them. They would blow these females away. And they would, if they were living today, they look at these women like, what are you doing? Why are you letting yourself get that way? You got a man to go get. You sitting up there 5'2", 280 pounds. How you gonna get a man? You got 5 kids. You ain't never been married. How you gonna get a man?
Mm-mm, man.
They would look at these women in shame. They were like, I can't believe y'all went this route. And it's because they have been systematically broken down by white society. Yes. And I know that you had Wally up in there the other night. I told Wally's on there, or whoever white up there in their face. I tell them to their face. This is the reason, this is what's happening. Because I've always been real with my family. I got a lot of whites in my family, whites and friends. They know I'm real. And I always tell them, you sure you want to be on this? Because if you do, get ready to get talked to. Not to them, but just get ready to understand it. You're going to hear some things that you may not feel comfortable with. It ain't nothing against nobody. We ain't hating on nobody, but we got freedom of speech. And we can say what comes out of our mouth. And we ain't offending nobody. But the bottom line is, those are facts. Blacks have been screwed over in this country by whites. Those are facts. That is the fact. You can't sugarcoat it. Well, how am I going to sugarcoat it? I'll look them in their face and say, we've been screwed over. What else are you going to say? What are you going to do? What can you do? You got rich off your ancestors. You're literally living high off the hog because your ancestors stole what they stole, got what they got because they stole it, or they got it for free. That's the truth. There's no other thing I can say about it. That's the truth.
Mm. All right. So before we end the live stream, is there any last words, Tony, for the
Yes,
audience out here?
I just want to let the brothers know, the audience know, get your passports, man. Get your passports. Don't believe what you read about Japan. Get over there for yourself and experience. That's all I can say.
And there you have it, guys. Make sure to look after yourselves from around the world, and I'll see you guys on the next live stream. Do
Thanks,
make
Devin.
sure to hit that. No problem, Tony. No problem, man. Do make sure to hit join the Facebook group, guys. Get those travel experiences, get that passport, and be on your way. All right, guys. Have a good one.
Thanks, brother.